artist understood that although each dream mentioned in the book was powerful in itself, they were also somehow linked together in revealing aspects of the future. The next one is a more modern illustration. Let me make it full screen. Daniel is explaining to the king in the lower left corner. A very tall statue stands above the earth. His head is gold. The chest and arms are silver. The waist is bronze. The lower legs are iron. The feet and toes have cracks in them. Off to the side are drawings in white, representing the various political powers over the ages, from Nebuchadnezzar on. The bottom one is the emblem for the United Nations. A ribbon marks the place in the Bible where the book of Daniel is located. I can't make out the writing on it. A bomb-like rock descends from the sky and circles around the column in the king's castle and aims for the feet of the statue. The path of movement circling around that column indicates intentionality. God has determined what will take place. Before we go on to the discussion time, I'm going to move this out of the way and get our text back full screen. We're on point number 7 in your notes. Before we go on to the discussion time, let's think about King Nebuchadnezzar's response to what Daniel told him. He recognized that Daniel was describing the dream he had had. What did he do? He fell prostrate before him, saying, "Surely your God," you need to write in your, Y-O-U-R, "your God is the God of gods and the Lord of kings and a revealer of mysteries. For you were able to reveal this mystery." Father Dennis, will you read the Russian?
Владыка царей, открывающий тайны, раз ты смог открыть.
Okay.
Once again, because we cannot hear you.
Maybe, Natalia, maybe you could read it. I think he's having trouble with his computer.
Maybe. Несомненно, ваш Бог есть Бог богов и владыка царей, открывающий тайны, раз ты смог открыть эту тайну.
Mm-hmm. Daniel had been able to do what no one else could. So now Nebuchadnezzar gave Daniel many gifts and elevated him above all the so-called wise men, the magicians, sorcerers, enchanters, and astrologers. At Daniel's request, his 3 friends were appointed as administrators over the province of Babylon. Daniel himself served in the royal court. Okay, now let's go on to consider some of what we've talked about so far. Does anybody have any questions for me before we start the ones that I've prepared? Okay. Let's start to think about Nebuchadnezzar's dream. What is there about this dream of a statue that so upset the king that he couldn't sleep? What do you think? I've listed a few ideas. Maybe you'll think of another one or several other ones. As I read through these, and somebody else can add some of their own, think which one seems to you to be the most significant. Why would a king be frightened by his dream? Well, maybe it was the second year of his reign. Maybe he was overwhelmed by stress or afraid of the opposition. Was it fear of his own inadequacies? Was it the strangeness of a dream about a statue made out of various metals? Was it the puzzle of the various metals? Was it the fact that the bottom was iron mixed with clay? Did he think it was describing those who served him? Was it the ease of a rock causing the statue to collapse? Does anyone have any other ideas? Nothing is occurring to you so far, but maybe you will think about them. Which one do you think was the most significant?
Can I ask the participants to show up just to see your faces and maybe your hands raised?
Yeah, well, it's much nicer to see faces and know who's participating. Would you put your camera on? Thank you.
And the others?
Olga, do you want to? There's another Olga and Lilia. Okay, well, we'll accept what we have now. And I'm going to already close you out so that you can see. What? The computer isn't allowing me to show the screen anymore. Huh. Okay.
Do you have the questions before your eyes?
Yes, I can just say them. How many of you think that he was upset because of just general stress or afraid of opposition? Anybody? What about, was it fear of his own inadequacies? Did the dream make him upset?
Not at all. Not at all. He was not that person like.
Okay. Was it the strangeness of a dream about a statue made from various metals? Or the puzzle of the metals? Was it the fact that the bottom, the feet, was iron mixed with clay? Did he think that the statue was describing those who served him? Or was it the ease of the rock causing the statue to collapse? Or do you have another idea? Nobody raised their hands.
I have another idea.
Okay.
I was thinking that he intuitively knew that this was a very significant dream. Like you wake up from a dream and you think, this is important. I wonder what it means. And he was struck with a certain kind of awesome fear, and he had to know what it really meant.
Mm-hmm.
That was my thought.
Very good thought.
I think that your last question is also significant, was also significant for Nebuchadnezzar. Was it the ease of a rock causing the statue to collapse?
Mm-hmm.
So the rock was very powerful image, and probably that was really stroked his imagination.
Or maybe it was frightening just to think about all the known types of kingdoms collapsing.
Mm-hmm.
All the known types of power. If you had heard his dream, how would you have interpreted it? With that head of gold and the chest and arms of silver. Any ideas? Betty's shaking her head.
I don't know.
Maybe he thought other people groups would have joined against him and he would lose his throne. I don't know how I would have interpreted it. It's too puzzling. It's a strange idea. What do you think of his strategy in demanding that someone tell him not only the meaning, but also the content of the dream?
I think it's really very strange, but to ask someone to describe another one's dream, it's a very strange idea in itself.
Mm-hmm.
But he probably was also feared by the image to be learned by the other person who may understood it and not tell him.
Ah. Mm-hmm.
So it might be the reason.
Why he wanted to execute them. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Seems to me like a very good test, because if he didn't tell them the dream, they could make up any interpretation.
And
Yeah.
I was thinking also that maybe he had noticed that there were some things not quite right with his wise men and magicians,
Mm-hmm.
and he might have been a little bit mad at them generally, and he was testing them.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay, another idea I had as far as questions is, have you ever tried to tell someone else what they dreamed, the specifics of what they dreamed?
No.
What would enable a person to even make a good guess at someone's dream?
Well, I know that there are people who write books, and they say that certain symbols in dreams mean certain things. I haven't read those books, but I've heard about them.
I read these books. In Russian, they called sonnik, which is really describing what this or that dream means.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, Olga, you have heard about this. Are you? Olga?
Yes. Uh-huh. Yes.
Maybe others?
Sorry.
Unfortunately, the sound is bad.
Is it?
Now it's
Go to
can be
another
heard.
room, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe we close our faces and it will be better to hear.
Okay.
I will close mine at least.
Okay.
Yes, Olga, please,
Yeah,
once again.
Mm-hmm.
Could you repeat what you said?
No, I just wanted to say that I think it's quite dangerous when some people try to interpret someone else's dream, because they can convince that person in something that's not really true. That's what in his mind, but not applicable to that person's life. In our church, we had a team from another church that came and that did this interpretation of the dreams. And I really was not sure about that. I think that's why the king was so keen to that magicians would tell them exactly what their dream was, because then it would be true interpretation.
Interesting.
I tried to think of things that would make somebody able to interpret a dream or make a good guess at it. If you know a person really well and you know that person's recent upsetting experiences, you might guess at what he might have dreamed about. Maybe if you had heard about him having previous similar dreams and told you about it, maybe you could guess at it.
It looks like magicians, like magic. And I myself try to exclude from my life this type of depicting, this type of people who are interpreting the others. Though certainly there are some psychiatrists who are capable to give the clue of the dream. But in general, it's a rather dangerous thing to do this.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. And none of the things that we thought of fit Daniel. Daniel didn't know the king. Daniel hadn't heard about other similar dreams. Daniel got his answers from God. And I'm now able to show you the screen again. I'm glad of that. Let's go on to number 2 here. Daniel said that the rock in Nebuchadnezzar's dream represents a different kingdom, one that was not part of the statue. Do you remember how he described that kingdom? I'm going to pull up page 2, if I can. No. Here. Here's how he described it. In the time of those kings, the God of heaven will set up a kingdom that will what? Never be destroyed, never be left to another people. It will crush all those kingdoms and bring them to an end, but it will itself endure forever. When did he say this kingdom would start? In the time of those kings. Which kings? The kings he had last described. Let's see. The final 4th kingdom, strong as iron.
Which is Rome, probably.
With breaking things to pieces, so it will crush and break all the others.
Mm-hmm.
It will be a divided kingdom. Yet it will have some of the strength of iron in it, even as you saw iron mixed with clay. As the toes were partly iron and partly clay, so this kingdom will be partly strong and partly brittle. The people will be a mixture and will not remain united. Those are important little details. How long did he say this kingdom would last?
It will itself endure forever.
Yeah, it will last forever. Who did he say was going to set it up? This different kingdom?
What did you say?
Who did Daniel say was going to set up this different kingdom represented by the rock?
Certainly he meant a God of Israel.
Yeah, actually, the God of heaven is what he said.
Yes, God of heaven.
Not by human hands.
Yes.
How was the power of this rock described in the dream? What was it able to do? Maybe I should pull that back up.
It crushed all those kingdoms into nothingness, and it will stand forever.
Yeah, was able to crush all the previous kingdoms. All right, number 3. Daniel said that the dream was true and its meaning certain. Why did the king accept it as true?
I think it was something that God gave him intuitively to know as true.
But what undergirded his confidence?
Well, when Daniel explained what it was, because he...
Yeah. Somebody else could tell him what he had dreamed.
Mm-hmm.
What do scholars today think about the dream? I put a chart in your notes. Let me get this over more. Well, go full blast.
The scholars certainly speak about some subconsciousness, which reveals what is it in the consciousness of a person during the not dreaming, but in reality.
Okay.
So the people are really addressing to subconscious meaning of what the person thinks.
Also, because we live so much later, we can look back and see, well, how does this fit what Daniel described? And here's one chart. There are other charts, but here's one interpretation. The head of gold represented Nebuchadnezzar and the kingdom of Babylon.
Mm-hmm.
The arms and chest of silver represented Persia. And then came Greece, and then Rome, and then the divided nations of Western Europe is what he listed here. They've even given some years for when he thought one kingdom supplanted the other. It's a very interesting dream, and it's not one that's easily dismissed because there are so many specific details that were told in 603 BC that we can now look back and see, oh, there was a description of what was going to happen. So did another kingdom slightly inferior to Babylon take over? Yes, that was Persia. Was there a third kingdom that took over rule from the previous one? Yes, Greece conquered Persia.
Mm-hmm.
Was there a fourth kingdom that began to rule the known world after the third one? Yes, Rome. What characterized all the kingdoms represented by the statue? Well,
The history of the nations.
Okay.
I was thinking of strength.
Mm-hmm. Earthly political power.
Political power, yeah.
Political power.
Mm-hmm.
How is the kingdom represented by the stone different?
Was it not made from human hands? Was that what?
Yeah. And so what does that mean, not made from human hands?
Well, it's from heaven, from God.
Yes, it was set up by God and it would last forever. Daniel said that.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of his description of the dream, Daniel made a comment about the rock, and I wanted you to notice what he said about it. Let me pull that up again. It was on page 2 in your notes. The end of what he said. He
But
said,
the rock that struck the statue became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth.
yeah, that's a really interesting statement. A rock that struck the statue became a huge mountain and filled the whole earth. What other things do we know that can help us understand this truth? So, of course, I thought about Jesus. When Jesus came, he talked a lot about a special kingdom. How did he name it? Do you remember?
Like the kingdom of God?
Yes, or the kingdom of heaven. Matthew, his gospel, always used the term kingdom of heaven when he said what Jesus said. The other synoptic writers used the term kingdom of God.
My kingdom is not from the world. If my kingdom
Yes.
was from the world, my followers would be fighting to keep me from being handed over the Jews. But
Yes.
as it is, my kingdom is not from here.
Did Jesus consider himself a king? Yes, but his kingdom was from another place. You are a king, said Pilate. And what did Jesus say? You say that I am a king? In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me. Why didn't Jesus seek political power?
Because he's not from this world, he's from another world, where
Yeah.
no political power except the mighty God is.
And he's spiritual king.
Mhm.
Yes, and all the people living in the day that Jesus was on earth expected him to be a political ruler. They expected him to overcome Rome and set up his own kingdom. But if he had done it using political power, his kingdom wouldn't have been any different than all the previous ones.
Mhm.
He offered, what kind of a kingdom did he offer? A spiritual one. Can you see how that fits Nebuchadnezzar's dream? Isn't it amazing how God gave that information so much before Jesus came?
Yep.
Okay, question number 6. Do you think that Nebuchadnezzar was right in his conclusion that only God could have revealed the content of his dream to Daniel? Did he make a right assessment?
I think so. But I was wondering, at the time of Nebuchadnezzar and his kingdom, did they worship like the god of the sun, god of the moon?
They had many gods. Bel was one of them, and that's why Daniel's name was Belteshazzar. That was not the main god of Babylon. Marduk was. They had lots of gods, lots of them, but the main one was Marduk. Bel was another important one. In fact, Nebuchadnezzar's father, Nabopolassar, was more interested in a different god, and he left the kingdom and put. I'm sorry, I'm mixing things up. It's a later kingdom. Forget what I just said. There was a later king, Nabopolassar, who will leave Babylon to go try and restore worship of a different god in Arabian territory. Did the dream that Nebuchadnezzar have truly describe something that would happen in the future? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so, because we can see that it did happen through history.
Yeah.
Looking back,
You have the evidence already.
we do.
I think that's an extremely important point, that each person needs to recognize that this was a real dream and it really did speak of the future. Why would such a significant dream be given to the head of an empire?
Because they are the rulers. They are the people who are in charge of everything during their era when they rule.
Mhm.
So they always need to think and to remember that there is the upper God, that they are the people. They are not gods.
Mhm.
And maybe it's some kind of comparison between God's power and king power. Who is truly king?
Mhm. Mhm. That's a very good point. I started to think about Joseph, Mary's husband. He was given a dream, but why was he given a dream? To reassure him in knowing that it was okay to marry Mary. And then another dream he was given was when he was told to get up and take them and flee to Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this dream was given to Nebuchadnezzar so that he could do something about it.
But what could he do? Like, in a way, the dream to him might be like a compliment that he's the head of gold.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I think it's more for us who read this stuff. That was like, this was around 600 BC or whatever. I think it's more for our benefit than for his.
Okay.
But also it might just help Nebuchadnezzar to believe in the God that Daniel believes in.
Yes. Yes. What do we learn by the fact that God gave this dream to a pagan king, not to one of the chosen people? This is a very significant dream, not just for Babylon, but for the whole world. Why did God send that dream to a pagan king? What can we learn from that?
Well, we know that God sets up kings and takes them down. So even like when you look at the life of Joseph, like the Pharaoh had a dream and Joseph said, the God of heaven wants you to know this, that what will happen. So that was for something in the future. So for King Nebuchadnezzar, don't know what he could do with the dream except to honor Daniel's God.
Yeah, and make it known.
Yeah, he proclaimed it.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to understand that God is for everyone, for pagans and for Jews.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
I absolutely agree with Natalia. I think that we learn by the fact that God gave the dream to the pagan king. It means that that the whole world is one family of one God.
Mm-hmm. Even if some people will not acknowledge him, he is
Yes,
still their creator.
of course.
Yeah.
And also, even if he's a pagan, God can still use him.
Yeah.
God can use anyone to accomplish his purposes.
Even a donkey.
What do you think is the significance of the fact that the content and meaning of this dream could only be learned with the help of the God of Israel? It couldn't be learned by astrology. It couldn't be learned by magic. It was learned only when God's own people prayed to him and asked him to reveal the dream.
Mm-hmm.
What does that tell us?
That God is very exclusive.
And he is the only God.
Yeah. He is the only God. Yeah.
Okay, now number 7. Why would God reveal such information about the future?
Takes care about our people.
And to help us understand and have greater evidence that he does know the future.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give us more perspective on what's going on and give us hope
Yes.
and reassurance. He does have a plan. He can handle things. Who is this dream intended to help?
First of all, to the rulers, the government,
Okay.
but also to the people, so that they understand that their rulers are the earthly people. Their governments are the people also, not gods. And
Yeah.
not God.
Does it help us?
For sure. I think it helps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it helps us to understand the sovereignty of God.
And also to differentiate. People are people.
Yes.
Whether they are rulers or governmental people, they are just people.
That rock that was coming is said to fill the whole earth. That is really encouraging, that the kingdom of God is going to fill the whole earth. When you live in a country where chaos reigns, when everything is in disorder, it is really comforting to know that God will bring order one day.
Mm-hmm.
Another question that occurred to me is, did the dream prompt a different choice or outcome in political events? Did the dream itself control events? Did the people of Greece know that this dream was dreamed by Nebuchadnezzar and act because of the dream? Was the dream of any influence on political events?
You know, I think King Nebuchadnezzar would have greater confidence in his second year of ruling.
Mhm.
And if these things were written down and passed and kept and read, you know, for those that read it in the years to come and then looked what happened, because they can't change, they're not going to change history. I think it would have helped them to have a greater faith in God when they see that what was written actually has happened.
Very good. I don't think that the dream itself changed anything.
Mm-hmm.
I think political events took place because of political struggles, because people wanted power.
Mm-hmm.
But you're right. If anybody knew about this, it could give them confidence. Cyrus the Great, I think, was able to gain some confidence by the fact that God had given some messages about him to Isaiah. Just to know that Isaiah talked about him way before he was ever born could give confidence, but it didn't make things happen in a particular way. The dreams were given for information, for encouragement, for a sense of peace, for an awareness of the reality of God, but not to try and cause things to happen.
Yeah, true.
How did those who first learned about the dream, the very first ones, how did they react? Consider Daniel's prayer. Do you remember Daniel's prayer? Let me see if I can find that again.
Mhm.
Let's see. Here's Daniel's prayer. This is what Daniel said when he had prayed the night before and God gave him the answer. What was his response? It was to praise the name of God forever and ever, to recognize that wisdom and power are his, to know that he changes times and seasons, he deposes kings and raises up others. This is quite an encouragement for people in America right now.
Mm-hmm.
God is in charge.
Amen.
God gives wisdom to the wise and knowledge to the discerning. He reveals deep and hidden things. He knows what lies in darkness, and light dwells with him. Daniel praised God and thanked God. What did Nebuchadnezzar do? Nebuchadnezzar was amazed.
Right.
He raised Daniel up. He gave him special gifts. He used his friends to become leaders in the province of Babylon.
He even kneeled before Daniel.
Yeah,
What did, what did
that's
you
true.
I think he kneeled before Daniel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What value are predictions that come true?
They're encouraging people. They're preparing people not to be afraid, as it comes from God, from God's will.
Yeah. And it also can give us an awareness of order in our world, an awareness of spiritual aspects of life, an awareness of an unseen God who wants to communicate with us. And as I said before, an awareness that God has a plan. So how does the fact that Nebuchadnezzar had such a dream in 603 BC affect us? That's something to think about, and I hope that you will be thinking about it in the week ahead. Okay, we are finished with our time. We need to end.
We're very, very punctual. I think it's wonderful. We came through the questions. Janine,
Yes,
you made it
thank you.
excellent. Thank you so much.
If you have questions that I didn't answer, send an email and we'll try and respond to you.
Yep, thank you, Janine.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Janine. And I wish to remind that on the 30th of November, Father Dennis will continue his series of lectures in Russian for the participants of the Old Testament course. And then Janine comes on the 2nd of December, and she will be prepared to discuss with us the questions about the history, Bible history, certainly. So please look at the schedule in our lectorium and don't miss the opportunities. Are there people who received the lecture which Janine made today? I mean, the material for the lecture.
I did not.
You did not. Anyone else?
I also did not.
Okay, and the second Olga, did you receive?
No, I didn't.
No, did. So we will send it to you again because it was sent, but we will send it again. And you see, this text is rather intense, and thanks to Janine with her questions, it became more clear to us. Not transparent, but clear, and we can put more questions. So thank you to all, and to Janine special thanks, and we'll meet next week.
Thank you very much.
But all of you can download the text of this lecture using the chat. You can see this document in the chat now.
I don't see it.
I
If you
don't
click on chat and then you'll see that.
I can't see it though. I've looked.
Oh, there's technical problems. Sorry.
Maybe it's still winging its way through the airwaves.
It's listed for me. Did you click on chat?
Yes.
Yep.
Oh, so sorry.
Can you see or not?
No.
No. So we shall send it to you.
Okie doke.
And the others, do you see where is it? It is the group chat.
The chat ribbon that's at the bottom of the screen, it says chat.
Mm-hmm.
It is group
Okay.
chat Zoom. Yeah.
All I see on there is from Olga to everyone. Thank you. That's all.
Go up. Can you move the thing up?
No, no. It
No,
was there before, but not anymore.
just a moment.
And if you put it there, will it stay there?
No, you have to copy it right now.
Uh-huh. It's okay. I can, oh, he's put something. Ah, there, he's got it. Okay, good show. Download. My goodness, this
Thank
is a
you.
different setup. Okay, thank you.
So finally, everyone can see this, or not?
I can always get it from Janine. That's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's okay
Okay,
now.
yeah, bye-bye.
Oh,
Bye.
bye-bye. Thank you.